So we'll just shuffle on. I just thought I'd cover that just briefly. I thought we'd cover it a little bit more in depth, but you guys not familiar at all, so never mind. But let's talk about something I have posited here on this channel a few times now, and one I am very much gonna sort of like do the slam dunk on this because I think I was right, and I think I am still right. Is that the next big resurgence of IPs that studios are going to be pulling their sort of money together to buy is going to be tabletop RPGs, and we're seeing that now. Dungeons and Dragons live action series ordered by Paramount Plus from Rawson Marshall Thurber, E1 and Paramount Pictures. They've done a straight to series order of 8 episodes. I said this before, that I really do think this is going to be the next big thing. This will be the thing which studios sort of pile in on and go, right, this is what we're doing now, because comic books are, waning in terms of popularity. Superheroes are going a bit downhill. Where do we go with that? It's all a bit same, or not every company has the ability to make them or buy them. So those ones which don't, Paramount Plus, Paramount, for instance, other studios that, have other money, but no IP in terms of the, for like superhero kind of stuff. Well, where do they go? Well, they go to tabletop RPGs. So Dungeons and Dragons, they've got a movie coming out. They've already now straight to season order of an 8 episode season. I think this is it. Like, I think this is the next big thing. We'll get the big boom. But what do you guys think, just on that topic specifically, Paulie?
Paramount Plus is riding a high wave, and this Thurber, I really like the Red Notice films. That's really all I got right now. Dungeons and Dragons live action series. It's got nothing to do with that movie, does it?
So it's not linked, but it's under the same house now. So obviously, so exclusive to Deadline, Paramount Plus has given an 8 episode straight to series order to an adaptation of Hasbro's wildly popular Dungeons and Dragons fantasy role-playing game franchise. Rawson Marshall Thurber wrote the pilot script and is set to direct the first episode of the series, which will be a co-production between E1 and Paramount Pictures. E1, the lead studio, took the project out in November, garnering interest from multiple buyers, but Paramount Plus were the ones which won the bid. They bought the show in a competitive situation. E1 and Paramount Pictures are partnering on the Dungeons and Dragons series, after also co-producing and co-financing the upcoming movie. So it's not connected, but it could be to a degree. And at the very least, one of the elements which I like about this, just from a continuities perspective, is that at the very least, there's an element where they can keep it very thematically the same. If, the movie is a success, or it's not going to be wildly different, like it's not like, where an IP is kind of butchered and shopped out to multiple people. You get a movie released and then there's a TV show, but they're just so different. If you like one, you'll probably hate the other. If you like the movie, you'll probably end up liking this show, basically, is the take home from this, because it's under one roof. Although it's different, it's still under one roof. So that's a good thing if the movie's good. That's my sort of perspective on it. Paulie, further thoughts on that now? A little bit more info?
Not really. It sounds like people in the chat are saying D&D is making a comeback. Tabletop games. This is so out of my not my strong suit at all.
What do you think the next big thing will be? Do you think there's a point to that? Tabletop RPGs. Do you think that there'll be that as the next big thing or not? Because what is the next big thing to you?
Okay,
what do you think the next big thing will be?
For me, what would be interesting is a Dungeons and Dragons series where it shows, young dudes, young people, maybe be retro, where they're playing the actual tabletop game, and then they get pulled into that world. I don't know, something
like Jumanji.
Maybe like Jumanji. There you go. I don't know. Dude, I'm telling you, I have no clue about this stuff.
Okay. Tom.
I'm just telling you what what would be kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
I've kind of had this feeling that the next trend is going to be probably either sword and sorcery, fantasy kind of stuff. So that does fit right into the tabletop RPG kind of realm. And with Dungeons and Dragons, it's like an endless sea of possibilities. And I agree with you. As long as you stay within the same quote unquote universe, tones, things like that, you don't necessarily have to link up the movie with the show in any way, shape, or form. It can just be, as long as there's a uniformity to, like, when I look at it, I know it's this. See, because that's the thing, going back to that thing we were talking about earlier with just the production design of Ant-Man and how that picture could have been from, you know, Wakanda to whatever. It's kind of the same thing with some of these fantasy shows that we've gotten a bit of a rush of in the last few years here, because I even played this game where I showed, you know, images from the new Game of Thrones and the new Rings of Power and Wheel of Time and stuff like that, and some people weren't able to tell the difference between each of them, or it took them a little bit to figure it out by going by certain things. So in that respect, even you add Willow and a few others to that mess now, they all look the same. They all look exactly the same as the last, and that's already a problem creeping in. But I do feel like things like Conan and other things like that might be able to help push this in a direction. And if they really start to realize, like, look, a lot of the things that you want to do with Star Wars, Marvel, and DC characters, it can actually be applied to a lot of these tabletop games, because they are role-playing games. Hence, there's no set necessary, like, canon, but there is universe, and there's, you know, Bible as far as rules and tools and all that kind of stuff, to where use those elements, create your own thing. That to me is a breeding ground for what a lot of these writers in Hollywood seem to want to do with all these pre-existing properties. Witcher is another example, even though I've not seen it, nor have I played the games or anything like that. Just my understanding is that the creator is working against the fans by going against the grain when it comes to what the canon is, to where, you know, people like Henry Cavill walked away for that very reason. That's really, like, sounds like that's what they want to do. They want to change something like and make it like that. Well, then fine. This is the chance. This is the chance. These kind of things are the chance for these people to come in and try something different, try something new, try different kind of storytelling, different kind of characters. And nobody's going to say anything, because who says you can't do that? As long as it falls within the realm of the Bible rules or whatever you want to pre-construct for this universe, I don't see where anybody's going to be able to have a problem with it. Sure, you're going to have different tastes as far as, I like something like that more than the other, but, you know, we can't sit here and have a lot of these debates like we do with some of these other sci-fi and fantasy shows and movies, because, you know, a lot of the debates they like to throw at us can actually be applied here in a way, not in the sense of like trying to demean like the fantasy element. It's like, no, there's nothing that says that you can't have a wizard that's gay and because there's no rules in the universe that says you can't. You know what I mean? It's not like you're taking a character that exists. Exactly.
Yeah, it's an open book. You go in so many different directions with it. I think this is a good thing. I'm excited about this. The only downside is, of course, on Paramount Plus, they have Halo. Halo's garbage, but then they have Yellowstone. That's Paramount Plus, isn't it?
Well, so technically they produced it. Yeah, they've got some good stuff. The Godfather series was really good. It's called The Offer.
So they have some good stuff. There are some negatives, but I mean, I'm excited to see Hollywood taking some calculated risks and looking to get IP that isn't comic book or superhero related. I think that is an exciting time for Hollywood, because there's a lot of possibilities there. So yeah, good. Personally, good news. Let's